Hi y'all, this is Becky Colano with Wildstar Farm and Feathers, and I have just gone on a little mission to go pick up some day-old chicks that were shipped from a hatchery. And I just wanted to talk about a few things that need to be done if you order birds online or even get them from a feed store. When the feed store gets them, they are also about a day old from a hatchery, and so they have usually gone on a long trip depending on where your feed store gets them from. These little babies came all the way from Iowa, and we're here in California. And so, as you can see, the little black and white ones are doing pretty good, pretty perky. And then we've got some other ones that are looking like this. These are sultans, and they are a bantam breed, and they are trying to get warm. And so the main thing that I do, for when I sweated like crazy the whole way home, it was probably about 100 degrees in my truck, and I did not roll down the windows at all because these poor little babies, I watched them get out of their shipping boxes. And because of the rush on chicks at the moment, I went ahead and had to pick mine out so I could hurry up and get them home. And so I'm really hoping that we can get these little babies warmed up. They need heat. That is one of the main reasons why chicks die, is that they get too cold. If they were hatched with a mama, they'd be under her wing next to her 106 degree body temperature. They pluck out all of their belly feathers and get them right up next to their skin. And they also have probably not eaten or drinking anything yet from a hatchery, because the first 24 to 48 hours, chicks do not need to eat because they've absorbed the yolk sac from their egg. And so in the hatchers at hatcheries, or even in incubators at home when they're not hatched under mom, and even when they are hatched under mom, their first couple of days are just spent trying to get warm and dry and acclimated. And so the first thing that I want to do when I get them home is definitely get them warm enough. I'm going to move these little ones to make sure that they're getting plenty warm. And they're probably tired, too. Oh, poor babies. Falling over, getting their little sea legs going. Their land legs, I should say. These birds have come on an airplane and then got thrown in, put into a truck. Excuse me. And so they haven't had really a chance to get their legs about them. And so the first thing that I do is I make sure that they get warm. Also, if I'm going to put them on shavings, I do the big shavings that they can't, the bigger flake shavings, so they can't actually eat the shavings and ingest them. You can put them on paper, but it doesn't give them really the greatest footing, and it tends to not absorb a lot of the potties that happen either as well. So, and also the first thing I do is I do not fill their drinker with cold water. That's a shock to their system. They need to be warmed up, and so I actually fill their drinker with warm water. And of course I give them some electrolytes and probiotics, anything that'll, and some vitamins to give them a bit of a boost right away. And you don't want to fill every drinker full with the electrolytes, but you can do the vitamins and the probiotics with every fill up. The first couple of days, though, I make sure that they are getting all three in their drinker. Always use warm water. Chicks are prone to a condition that everybody refers to as pasty butt. They will actually get dry droppings on their rear end, and it will dry up and block their vent and not allow any more bowel movements to come out, and that can actually kill them too. There's a lot of misconception about that. People think it's caused from coccidia, which it is not in chicks under 3 weeks old. It is caused by inconsistent brooder temperatures, going from hot, cold, or it being very nice and warm in the brooder, but then shocking their system with cold water. The best thing you can do is provide them with a probiotic and warm water in their drinker. So I will let them get warmed up for a bit before I move them to their bigger brooder. And if you notice too, I've also put a flat plate in here of food so that when they are curious about starting to eat, it takes up the majority of where they are, and so they're not pecking at things they shouldn't. Another thing too is sometimes you need to show the chicks where the water is and how to dip, and you dip their little beak into it just for a second. A lot of times other chicks will show them just by the act of these other chicks drinking. The other chicks will figure it out as well. Same with the pecking of the food. When I first put this in here though, I imitate what Mama would do, which is pecking sound. And it usually will draw the chicks, it did when I first put them in here, draw the chicks to come over and peck at what I'm pecking at, like a mama hen would do. So those are just some tips that I would give about brand new shipped chicks from a hatchery, especially ones that have gone on a very long journey. It's a good rule of thumb for pretty much all of them. Warm water, not cold, with electrolytes, probiotics, and vitamins. Plenty of heat. They need to be at 99 to 100 degrees inside of their brooder. And once they're warmed up, you can start introducing food and making sure that their bedding is something that they cannot ingest.